Hello and welcome to Faith on Film, a program designed to keep you aware on everything that's happening in the world of faith and family entertainment. Boy, have I got a show for you today, because today we're going to be discussing a new movie that has just recently come out. It's a faith-based movie, and yet it seems to be causing a lot of controversy amongst the Christian people. So it should be a very interesting show. And of course, who better to have this discussion with than my good friend Holly McClure from Holly on Hollywood. Holly, how are you? That's a lot of Hollies.
Holly. Very good, Isaac. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited about the show today. I'm excited about discussing this one.
It should be a lot of fun, because this movie, even though it's a Christian movie, it seems to be getting a lot of backlash from the Christians.
It does. It sure does. And even some who aren't Christian.
Well, yeah. Well, I tell you what, to give this whole thing a little bit of context, how about we, let me see here, Rick. How about we take a look at the trailer? That way people will know, once we get to start talking about this, people will know what it is, what the movie is all about and what it is we're talking about. All right. So let's start by acknowledging here that this is not your typical Christian movie. Probably not a movie that you're going to sit down with your entire family from you to down to your 2-year-old kiddos. This is definitely a lot edgier. First, tell us all about this movie, though. What is this movie about?
Well, for those who don't know, it's based on the book by Francine Rivers. And so DJ Caruso was the director, and he actually worked on the script with Francine to adapt it from the 500-page book down to the 2-hour and 10-minute, movie. So it was a lot of content to try to, transfer. Basically, it's in the 1850s. It's a romantic drama. It takes place during the California Gold Rush. The story is around Angel, who is an 8-year-old girl. Her mother dies, and she's left to a man who sells her to another man. And basically, he buys an 8-year-old and sexually uses her. He's in a brothel. She's raised in a brothel, so she's raised as a prostitute. It's called Paradise, Paradice, but you get the analogy.
Right.
Michael Hosea is a farmer, a godly man who loves the Lord, he's single, and he wants a wife, and he wants someone to share his life with. And so he prays to God and said, God, I need a wife. I want to be married. Send me a wife. And so he goes to town, and when he's in town, he sees someone with his friend. He goes, wow, look at her. She's walking down the street. And he figures that's the one God wants him to marry. And it turns out that he finds out she is a prostitute. And he says, well, God told me to marry her. He's a godly man. He's going to do what God says. And so the rest of the movie is how he then proceeds to go several times to talk to her, to woo her, and tell her, don't you want to get out of this? Don't you want a life that's better than this? And it shows her journey of the abuse she went through and what she has to overcome to even think about being with him or leaving and being married, which she has no concept of. And the story is about that. And it's about that journey of being redeemed out of the lifestyle of prostitution, out of the lifestyle that she was used to, and acknowledging and welcoming love and forgiveness, and forgiving herself as well as forgiving others. So it is a story of redemption, redeeming love.
The book is a faith-based book. It is a Christian book. Francine Rivers is a Christian, correct? And
yes.
Technically, this story is really a biblical story, isn't it?
It's based on the book of Hosea.
Right.
And of course, in the book of Hosea, what it's based on is, it was interesting because I heard a discussion about this. Someone said, okay, you say it's based on the book of Hosea, but it can't be, because in Hosea, it's how she was in prostitution and she came out of it and came back to him. And Angel didn't have a choice. She was forced into it. And so it's not the same story, but it is the same story, because she chose to come back and then she chose to leave again. And in fact, she leaves twice throughout the story on her own will, still dealing with the demons that she has, knowing she has this beautiful life and a loving husband, but she chooses to go back to her sin nature. So I think that is like the story. And of course, the story in Hosea is an analogy of Israel and his people, and the people, I've wanted you, I've wooed you, Israel, you've left me. And so it's that analogy, but it's basically based on that. Yeah. And Cindy Bond, our friend, who I love her. I love Cindy. She was a producer on I Can Only Imagine. She's in amazing movies. She's a producer on this film, and she is passionate about how she felt the story would really touch hearts and change lives. They filmed it in South Africa. It's beautifully filmed in South Africa. I'm telling you, I love the cinematography. And DJ Caruso is the director, like we said. So it's a winning formula. DJ has done, several well-known movies. It's not like he's a Christian director. He did the Triple X Return of Xander Cage, and he did The Number 4 and then Eagle Eye. He's in big secular films. Right. So anyway, I feel like they just had a lot of story to tell. And I would love to see what was left on the editing room floor, because I'm sure they had to cut out a lot and cut a lot back. And I think that's what happened for some people. Is that they don't feel like it's telling the complete story, especially if they read the book.
Well, I did notice also two other producers, which are David A.R. White and Michael Scott. Now, we know these three very well. They're very good friends of yours. They're very good friends of mine.
We do.
I know that that they're Christians, and I know that their goal has always been to impact the world for God. So I don't think that whatever they did with this movie was an intent to offend people, to offend Christians or to offend non-Christians. I think they really intended for this thing to make an impact in somebody's life. So we can right off the top put that away into thinking, oh, how could these people have done that? Well, they're doing it because they felt that what they did was going to impact lives. Correct?
Correct.
Would you agree with that?
And
all right.
Isaac, here's the thing: how can you tell a story of someone coming out of that hellhole of life and that being dead inside from how she's been raised and treated and having no hope and no even glimpse of what happiness could be like and no plans? How do you show someone coming out of that truly being redeemed and feeling that redemption and feeling that forgiveness and grace? How do you show it if you can't show what they've gone through? There's been a lot of criticism that they've received about, well, you shouldn't have had, somebody shouldn't have showed them the physical, and you shouldn't have showed partial nudity. Well, her hair is covering major parts, so you don't really see full nudity. Yes, you get the idea, but her hair is covering her when he walks into the brothel to see her. There are some girls in kind of underwear, but you've seen that in Westerns. If you've seen a Western on TV, you've seen the clothing as far as that goes.
I've seen that in family shows.
You see it in family shows. I'm not trying to discount what some people are offended by, but what I also want to say is you can't make everything that you do chaste and pulled back and proper for one segment of the population. This isn't for believers, really. This isn't really a movie to say, oh, I want to take my church group and go see this. This is for people who may be in the world and come see this movie and go, wow, that's God. He can forgive. I'm touched. I'm in sexual sin. I'm in an affair against my husband or wife. I'm doing it. It's for those people to go in and be moved and touched. And that's why you have so many emotional people coming out of this movie and going, I wept, I cried, I was moved, changed by this story.
Well, now, first of all, that's probably one of the biggest complaints that a lot of people have about Christian movies is that they're not realistic. They always say they're not realistic. They're just,
yes.
They're pie in the sky movies, and they don't have that realism to them. But now you've got a movie that makes it very realistic of what would happen in a place like a brothel, in a situation of a prostitute, and now they're complaining about it.
And I think some of that, and again, Isaac, I know you have the same heart and same spirit, and I do too. We want to be sensitive again with people that may be sensitive to prostitution, sexual sin, seeing stuff. Okay, I get it. There's people out there that's your button, and you're very aware and very careful of that. There was I won't name the name, but there was a Christian reviewer who had something on his website from a woman. It was just a editorial piece, really, and it wasn't so much a critique as an editorial piece about how her husband was in sexual sin and he had been in pornography and he'd been in all these things. And so she did not want to take him to see this film. She says, I will not go see this film. This film misleads people. I won't be a part of that, and it could cost my marriage. To which I would say, if seeing a movie can cost your marriage, then I think there's a few more issues that you have going on besides just seeing a movie. And I think I'm not trying to be flippant or sarcastic. I'm being very real about that. You can't say that seeing a movie now, could it mislead you? Well, sure. But if you can't with your spouse after a movie discuss and talk about something that say, hey, did that, bother you? Or did that touch a button, or did that set something up? You can't have that discussion. Then what's going on with the marriage? So again, for some people, I can see how that may be an issue. But again, Isaac, I so agree with you. We, as a church, we come down, well, it's too explicit, it's too excessive. You've seen it as a man. I've seen it as a woman. What was your thoughts and your reactions after you saw it? Did you think it was explicit?
Well, okay, I did go see it because I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was talking about when I did this show. Are there things that perhaps could have been kept out and still it wouldn't have hurt the movie? Yeah, there probably was, but did it ruin it that they were in there? No, I don't think so. I personally focused, when I saw the entire movie, I was focused on the guy and what, how much trust he had in God, how much obedience he had for God, and how much compassion he had for this young lady. So I focused on those things. It wasn't like I was looking at her, naked with hair covering her body parts. That just was not what I was focusing on. I was focusing on this guy. And then I also focused on the love that God had for this woman, that he actually picked a man to go rescue her from that lifestyle. There's a lot that I could focus on that people I think should focus on, as opposed to, oh my goodness, there's half nudity in there. And I say half because it was a naked back.
It was the back, which I'm just going to say, in Southern California, I've been to the beach and I've seen more nudity on the beach than I saw in this movie. So I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. It's not like we live in a sheltered culture these days, first of all. Second of all, I think people, if you've read the book, okay, I'm telling you now, if you've read the book, there are different scenes and there are things left out that in the book, it connects the characters, it connects the situation. You go, oh, God's voice is heard. He speaks to Michael, and it's set up in a different way. Angel actually hears God's voice in the book. So there are things in the book that I think are more intimate spiritually and make sense. And then when you see it in the movie, it's not there. It's cut out for a reason, because it would look goofy, or they couldn't transfer it onto the screen to make it real and to make it feel not cheesy, but real. So I'm just saying, in fairness to what they tried to do with the story, and remember, Francine co-wrote the script with DJ. It's not like somebody else took her book and went, oh, I'm doing what I want with it. She was in charge of it, so she knew it was being changed. And I think that they did it so that it could relay better on the screen. And I think it worked. I've seen it twice. The first time I went, I'm like, okay. And I took a girlfriend the second time, and I thought, I want to see and make sure that what I saw the first time. I cried the second time. I was moved by the brother. There's a scene in the movie where Michael's brother had done something to Angel earlier in the film. Mm-hmm. And later on, he asked her forgiveness. And that is one of the most touching scenes. And when I saw it the second time, I was like, wow. I actually got teary-eyed the second time, because it impacted me, because I really listened and watched what he was saying and listened to his words. And for a man to do something wrong to a woman and then years later say, will you forgive me? I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And have her forgive him and say, I forgave you a long time ago. Those words, I forgive you. Do you hear that these days in movies? Do you hear that these days in conversations? Do you even hear it in church? I'm serious. I'm not kidding. I'm being serious. You don't hear that.
Now, I will take a different perspective now in this area, and that is that I probably wouldn't go see it with like my granddaughter, because there are some scenes in there that I think would make me uncomfortable sitting with my granddaughter. But I think my wife could go see it with my granddaughter, and she's 16. So by the way, let's just put it out there. This movie should probably be for 16 and older.
16 and up, I agree.
Don't
Mature
take your 9-year-old girl.
No,
but so I would feel uncomfortable. And talking with my wife, we both went to see it together. Talking with her, she also said, I would also be uncomfortable going with another couple friends of ours. So let's put it out there that yes, there are some things that, and it's probably again because we're not used to it. And in essence, I probably wouldn't read the book, the Songs of Solomon together with them, because that's actually very what's the word I would?
Provocative. It's
It's
very
very
provocative.
provocative. So we do
In a
have an
God kind of
example.
way.
We do have an example of that of
Yes.
Christianity talking about
Yes.
that, because it is something that we are part of. God made us sexual beings, and we have to talk about it,
Yes.
and we have to put it in perspective of how God sees it. And I think that's what this movie did. I would recommend. I keep telling this to my wife, and she's like, "Why do you keep saying that?" I keep saying, "I think every man should go see this movie because."
I agree with you.
Yeah, because it really showed, first of all, it showed how a man shouldn't treat a woman. And it also showed how a godly man should treat a woman.
It does. I the first time I went, there was about 15, 20 people in the theater, and I happened to have a couple that was sitting a couple of seats down from me, a black gentleman and his white girlfriend. And I say that interracially because you'll understand why in a minute. And when they got done, they stood up and I said, "So, did you like the movie?" And she said, "Yes, I read the book and I love this. It wasn't just like the book." She goes, "But I love this movie." She goes, "I really do it. I was so happy with how it turned out. In fact, I was worried that they weren't going to have a lot of things that were in the book in it, and it was in it. So I feel better." And I said, "Oh, that's great." And we were walking out, and there's a scene in the movie where a black gentleman comes in and rescues a character. And so when we were walking out, and I said, "What did you think about the movie?" And he goes, "Well, first of all, it was really hard for me to watch." He goes, "It was hard for me to see men treat women that way. It was hard for me to see a man treat a woman and abuse a woman and do what some of those men did." Because now, again, we're not talking about overt sexual situations on film. We're talking about, beating someone up and roughing someone around and throwing them on that type of thing. He said it was hard to watch. And he goes, "But in the end, to see that black gentleman come in and rescue," he goes, "that made me feel good." And I said, "Oh, that's good. That's good." And he goes, "Yeah, it really touched me as a man." He goes, "I think men should go see it." Now we're talking, I think they're probably late 20s or 30s. These are not an older couple. This is a young couple. Yeah. And so that was the impression. So I realized then, I think it's great for girlfriend and boyfriend in your 20s to go see that, a relationship, or, like I said, mature teens. Listen, girls these days, and sexual, I'm telling you, if you have a 16 or a 17-year-old, they know someone in school that's had sex. They know someone in school that's had sex. They know someone in school that's having sex right now and in a relationship. They know someone probably who has been abused verbally or physically by a male or female, a girlfriend or boyfriend. So these subjects and the topic that is in this story are real. It may not be a brothel, it may not be a prostitute, but the topic is real. The subject is, can you come out of that shame? Can you come out of that lifestyle? Can you come out of not forgiving yourself and feeling like you don't deserve these things that are good in life, and you're mad at God for whatever God did to you, and you're angry at him? Can you come out of that? And to see someone loving her and saying, "I love you. It's okay what you are. It's okay what your past was. I love you. I forgive you. I'm good. I'm here for you." And basically that's God saying, "I love you. It doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter who you are. I love you." And feeling redeemed with that love. Boy, that's the message I got coming out of it. So again, there's no graphic sexual situations. Okay. There's a couple of steamy scenes with clothes on.
I was going to say, there are two sex scenes in it.
There's two steamy scenes.
But
you don't really see full nudity. No, and it's in a marriage context.
Exactly. In fact, when she wanted to give herself to him before they were married, he refused.
Yes.
He said no. So,
yes. Again, it's in the context of marriage,
exactly. And those are important things for us to know.
And even the brothel scenes, there was no overt sexual situations in the brothel.
No.
You saw a guy getting up and putting his pants on or buckling his pants, or you saw, and it implied to show her lifestyle, but there was no sexual situation shown in that.
No, yeah. The only sex scenes were actually in the proper context. And again,
in the proper context.
It wasn't like they were naked. In fact, it was kind of interesting that they were fully clothed.
They were fully clothed.
Yeah, I don't know how that works out, but
the sunset scene where they were watching a sunset. It was
that was extremely romantic.
Just very romantic. So again, and here's what I think both will say. I'll speak for myself, Isaac, and you can add to it too. Not just because I know Cindy, not just because we have friends who are part of this production, and David Air White and others, Michael, and people that we support and know in the film community.
Right.
Aside from that, This is a story that is life changing, and it'll take that person. I spoke with a woman, just talking to her out of her car the other day. We got to have a conversation and kick up. And she said she runs a cleaning business for several women who've been abused, and she gives them jobs because they come out of abusive situations, abusive relationships. And these are women, she says, all in their 50s above. They can't work anywhere else. And I said to her, boy, have I got the movie for you to take them to. And she goes, really? And I told her about it. She goes, just send me a picture, show me where I can go see it. So I literally looked it up and sent it to her. She said, thank you. She was going to take a couple of these women because they've been through such a hard time of abuse and everything else to go see that movie. And that's who it's for.
We have 5 minutes left in the show, and there's another clip that I want to show right now because I think one thing that we've been that we've realized here is that this movie may actually, well, you said it, this movie may not be for Christians. This movie is for non-Christians. I think everybody should see it. But if you are somebody who has a problem with this and you don't agree with anything we've been saying, I understand. But don't bash it and don't keep it away from people that need to see it. I want you to take a look at this clip and you'll understand why I just said this.
Hey guys, it's Abby. I play Angel, and we're here on the set of Redeeming Love.
Just around the corner, down one of Cape Town's busiest streets, this film crew is busy making magic.
This book has literally changed countless lives, and this movie will change, I believe, even substantially more lives.
I'm not a Christian, and this book makes me want to believe.
Yes.
That girl said, I'm not a Christian, but this book, now she's talking about the book, but obviously the movie's based on the book, made me want to believe. I think that's what's going to happen with this movie, is it's going to cause for some people to go, wow, you know what, there is redemption for me.
And if God can save one person, Isaac, one person by seeing this movie, was it worth making this movie? Was it worth people seeing this movie for all the people, the naysayers and people who have it against it? If God can bring redemption and wholeness back to someone and restore a life, restore a marriage, restore a relationship, restore someone in their heart, was it worth it? Yes, I think you can say.
All right. So in the 2 minutes that we have left, what do you think we do? Do we say, you know what, we better just stop making these kind of movies and go back to the more softer, Hallmarky kind of movies? Or do we say, we're just going to take our chances because that's how we're going to reach people?
I think parents have to discern for themselves what they want their children to see and their teens to see, and that's in a different category and bracket. But I think for most everyone, when you walk into a supermarket, what you see on display in a supermarket is probably more than what you get in this movie. What the situations your children, your teenagers, your young adults in college are encountering in life, the situations we can see every day in the news, if we back off and make things friendly to us so that we're not offended, it won't touch the world. You won't reach those people that will not step in a church. And I just saw a thing where 30% of people in this country, 30% are saying that they are not affiliated with any religion. So those people are not going to go to your church. Those people are not going to go hear your sermons, your preacher, your pastor. They're not going to meet with you at a Bible study. So where else are they going to hear about it? If we don't make films for those people, for the 30% and others who don't believe, if we don't make films for those people to reach them and to grab them, to let them see how God can be real, not fakey Christianese, but real, then we're not doing what we've been called to do, I feel. So I'm rebel with the cause. I'm for let's make the movies, and like Cindy Vaughn did with Redeeming Love and others, and let's keep them coming. And it may offend someone. I'm sorry if it does. Again, not for you. Okay. Not for you. My saying on my movie reviews are choose your movies wisely. You have to wisely choose for you what you want to do, but be open to understanding how God uses everything in different ways. And he may want to use this movie, and has, to change lives.
We got to take risks sometimes. I'm taking a big risk with this show right now because there may be a lot of folks that watch this show that are going to go, forget it, I'm not going to watch him again because he liked this movie. But,
well, we've laid everything out,
Yeah,
and
we
it's
have.
all about choice, isn't it? It's all
Yeah.
about choice these days, and it's about people making decisions for yourself. We're not telling you you
No.
should go see it if you don't want to, if it offends you, but we are saying if you do, we think you may be happy you did,
Alrighty.
and can see it that way. And honestly, I have my review. I think Isaac will be putting it up on the Facebook page, the review of Redeeming Love, because I've got a review that I've done with that, and I would love to hear some responses. I'd like to hear people call, email us and tell us what they think and what they thought of our show, and then what they think after they see the movie.
Yes, as a matter of fact, folks, to write us, you can either write Holly or myself to the same place, faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Just write us. Let us know what you thought of today's show, and let us know what you think of the movie. Go see it, and then let us know what you think of the movie.
And go see it so you can talk about it, and then let us know. We'll have a good discussion then. Thanks so much, Isaac, for doing this show. I know you stepped out today to do it, but boy, I'm glad you did. People will be redeemed from it.
Thank you. Folks, thank you for watching today.